Millions of Filipinos are now rejoicing over the release of Angelo de la Cruz. De la Cruz was a Filipino migrant worker who was abducted and threatened to be beheaded by the Islamic Army of Iraq, who are fighting U.S. occupations.
Oras-oras ay binantayan ng buong Pilipinas ang paglaya ni Angelo de la Cruz at atin itong sinubaybayan. Ngayon malaya na si Angelo de la Cruz.
After his release, banners and streamers welcoming Angelo poured the streets of Pampanga and the country.
Mga kababayan, tagumpay po natin ito! Tagumpay po ito ng lahat na nag-alay ng dasal, ng lahat na kumilos, ng lahat na nagprotesta, nagdilig na kandila upang igiit na dapat sa kagyat pawiin na ni President Gloria ang tropang Pinoy mula sa Iraq.
Ito ay victory of the people, hindi ito victory ni President Gloria, no matter how much she would like to portray it as such.
Along with the Migrante International, other militant organizations say that in the first place, it was the President's all-out support for the U.S. war and her labor export policy that endangered the life of De La Cruz and that of the other Filipino workers in the Middle East.
Gustong ipakita ni President Gloria na pinagtatanggol niya ang karapatan ng mga migrante. She's actually guilty of criminal neglect of migrant workers and their families.
When the hostage crisis broke out, the administration failed to express its resolve to save De La Cruz by pulling out Filipino troops in Iraq. Presidential spokesman Ignacio Buña announced on July 10, 7 hours before the deadline for the beheading, that Malacanang is sticking to its decision not to pull out the 51-member Philippine contingent. According to Buña, the troops will be withdrawn only after August 20, as scheduled and not earlier as demanded by protesters. The Arroyo administration also ordered new blackout on the hostage crisis. The De La Cruz family were kept in supervision by government officials, preventing them from issuing any statement on Angelo's cause. In addition, a prayer vigil calling for the pullout of troops in Iraq to save Angelo's life was violently dispersed by policemen in Plaza Miranda on July 13. Because calls for Angelo's release amplified nationwide during the hostage crisis. Militant organizations say that it was primarily the Filipino people's outcry that left the Arroyo administration no choice but to withdraw its troops. In the end, Arroyo saved no one but herself and her government, not Angelo de la Cruz. As Angelo de la Cruz is reunited with his family in Pampanga, the plight of Filipino migrant workers are brought to public attention amid the Arroyo administration's labor programs that focus on sending millions of Filipinos overseas to solve the country's economic problems, and amid its continued compliance with the U.S. government's economic and political plans. The class of Angelo raises the question, how many more Filipinos will lead the country to support their families at the risk of their own lives? Not much, with a change in government, says Migrante International.
Hindi pa tapos ang laban hanggat natili ang labor export policy ng pamahalaan, hanggat natili ang pananakop ng Estados Unidos sa ating bayan, pati na rin sa mga ibang bansa. Nandyan pa rin ang migrante para ipaglaban ng aming karapatan, kagalingan, at para din sa isang panahon magkaroon tayo ng isang lipunan na kung saan ang mga pamilya ay hindi na sa pilitang pinaghihiwalay dahil lamang sa paghanap ng disenteng kabuhayan.
We'll take back